So this is not a regular episode, but I actually hurt my hand this week, and that meant not a lot of stuff got done. So, and yes, I hurt it again. I was behaving. I caught it on a strap trying to get dressed, and then in the process of getting the ibuprofen, I don't even know what I did, but somehow I bent it backwards, and it really hurt. Now I've been going back and forth between wearing the brace and leaving off to try and move it. It's feeling a little better, but it really cut down into everything. So I thought this would be a great time to do what is known as a floss tube tag. Now, to the people on floss tube, you know what these are. To the people who have been watching me for several years for knitting and crochet, etc., these tags are something that they just like to do. Somebody comes up with a list of questions, and then it kind of makes the rounds as people answer them. And I really like this one. This is from Jessie Marie Does Stuff. She's just starting to do one that's more related to her knitting called Jessie Marie Knits Stuff. It's all the same channel. But she does do separate videos. And I like this tag. So this is all about how your podcast exists, or your floss tube, or whatever you feel like calling it. So the very first question was optional, and it was to somehow show your recording setup, if you could, either take a picture or whatever. So I actually already recorded a mini video, so I will insert that here for the first question. This is my recording spot. It is just a little card table, and I use my iPad. I actually prefer to use the back camera, so I do not watch myself when I record. I just sort of aim for the camera and hope for the best. It seems to be working the last several years. I have a Gorilla tripod. The legs bend pretty much any way you want them to. And there's a little squeezy hook thing here. Most tripods are made with a screw here, so you could screw your camera in. Well, of course, the iPad doesn't work that way. I'm going to turn this off. I only turned it on so that you guys could tell that it was the back. Alright. This is an arm that tightens, so I use that to hold the iPad in place, or the iPhone if I use that for recording. On the table are just things I want to show you at some point. There's an Andean bracelet winder. It has to do with spinning. Cowl book, and click for baby's hats. There's also mess on either side that I'm not sharing with you right now. So this is my recording spot. Okay, question number 2. How did you come up with your channel name? Well, my channel name was actually originally my blog name from 2007. I have always, well, not always. For a long time now, I have felt strongly about dragonflies. I felt like they were sort of being presented to me, which I realize sounds a little weird. But my grandmother had always said that if you see something, and especially an animal, and it seems like it keeps coming, then that means that that's kind of your totem, and you should find out what it means. And I looked up dragonflies, and at the time when this really started happening, I was going through a divorce. And so, or I had gone, yeah. Anyway, dragonflies are survivors. They have been around since the time of the dinosaurs. They have, they evolve, they adapt, they change, they do whatever they need to survive. They also get more beautiful as they get older. So I really like this idea. When I was trying to think of a name for my blog, a lot of people were saying, so-and-so knits, so-and-so stitches, so-and-so whatever. And I was trying to think of what I wanted to do. And I'm like, I want to soar. I want to just keep going. So DragonflySoars became my blog name. And then eventually that became my podcast name, which, I'm not, whatever we call me, podcast, floss tube, whatever. I have a video channel. And now, in reality, once I used to record on Blip, and once things started kind of shifting to YouTube because, well, Blip started dropping everybody. YouTube is tied to Google and Google Plus, which is tied to my Gmail, so now it actually shows with my full name, which sometimes really bothers me, and because I really don't like having my name out there, but at the same time I've kind of given up because frankly we're all kind of out there. I tried to tie it to my Dragonfly. I have another Gmail account for my Dragonfly for the podcast, but it kept getting all confused and it was just more trouble than it was worth. So there you go. But DragonflySoars is been around for a while. 3. When did you post your first video to YouTube with floss tube / stitching intentions? That's a hard one for me, sort of. I have been recording a podcast since March of 2011, I believe. I believe it's been 5 years now. And originally it was knitting. And as I took up spinning or crochet or now cross stitch, it's just evolved. It's whoever I am. Not whoever I am. I'm always me. It is whatever I am doing at the time. It was originally a way to talk to my sister and my mom and a couple friends and show them what I was working on. Because on the written blog, I found I was only posting stuff as I finished it and not the how did I get there or the mistakes. And by recording a video, I was more likely to share what was really going on. And it just sort of evolved during time. So the first video I recorded with stitching intentions, knitting intentions, was over 5 years ago. Now, I still struggle with, am I a floss tube or am I not a floss tube? That's sort of up in the air. I believe I count. 4. What do you use for your videos? Now, I already showed you in the little snippet, I use my iPad for my videos. I actually used to use a Logitech webcam with my computer, and then it stopped working. I don't know what happened. It had an update and it stopped working. And then, so I started using the iPad because at least it was a way to get videos going. And then I started realizing that I really liked some of the editing software I could use on the iPad. So I actually now have a webcam. A couple months ago, we bought a webcam because we had money to spend at Best Buy. And then at work, I just got put on a pilot for video conferencing. So they gave me a webcam. And I never installed the personal one. So now I probably won't. So now I haven't decided what I'm going to do with it. Since we bought it with free credits, we're not even sure if we can really return it. Anyway, I record on my iPad. Do you record, number 5, do you record into video software or directly onto YouTube? I record on the iPad and then I use editing software to build the video, which falls into number 6, which is do you edit, and if so, what do you use? If not, why not? But I do. So I record on the iPad. I also record snippets or take pictures on my phone. I can easily share back and forth between my phone and my iPad. Now I can use AirDrop and just pass things, or they're on PhotoShare. In the past, I used a tool called Photo Transfer app because you didn't have an easy way, but as long as you were on the same wireless network, you could transfer to somebody. So I always put then everything on my iPad, and then I use the iPad editing software. Now, originally I used iMovie, and I ended up switching to Pinnacle Studio. I don't remember what the kicker was for why I switched. I do know that one of the things I liked is that in iMovie, it will, no matter what kind of photo you have, it wants to fit it to the space. Or you have to do the, move it around type thing. And sometimes I didn't want to do that. So Pinnacle Studio actually let me have more choices for editing the photos. I can actually just leave it. If it's a portrait, I can just leave it and it will be fine. It also gave me more choices for editing audio. So if I want to put up a photo and then and have the audio keep talking behind it, I can do that. So I use Pinnacle Studio for everything. I'm trying to glance ahead at the questions and make sure I don't answer something that... Yeah, okay, I'll keep talking. I didn't want to jump to something that was on a later question, and I don't think I am. I then build it on here, and part of it is also all my photos are on one of the iDevices, so it's easy to do it all there instead of transferring everything to my computer and then doing it, since I'm recording this way. I then also, but after I do that, you have to basically build it into a full movie. I do that, and then I plug it into my computer, copy the whole completed movie over to the computer, and up until very recently, I then compressed it one more time in Movie Maker. Now, this is because I'm now using, oh shoot, HipSoft, I think. I'm using a different feed storage system so that I can still put videos on iTunes. And they had a 1 gig limit, and frequently the completed video would be greater than that, so I would have to compress it again. Also, it made it smaller for anybody trying to download it. However, they just recently changed it to a 2 gig limit, so the last couple times I have been skipping that final compression. Not just because I want to skip that step, but because it means the video quality you're getting is better than what you were getting when I had to compress it yet again. I also have some limits on what size I can transfer between the iPad and the computer. I've found that a couple times that it won't go. And because my videos are long, I can't take them from the iPad directly to YouTube, because even though I'm allowed to have longer videos, for some reason those two won't talk and give me permission. All right, let me look at the next question. So 6 was, do you edit? Yes. 5 was, do I record onto video software or directly to YouTube? I record onto the iPad and then put it into video software and then edit. All right. 7, how many takes are involved in your videos, or do you just record it in one shot? Well, you guys know that I record in snippets because I actually pause when I want to put in photos or something like that. That's because I kept forgetting, you know, when people go, and I want to put a photo here, I would forget. I wouldn't see this, and then I would forget. So I put it in stops. I normally am a one-take kind of person. There are a few times when I'll re-record something. Like I'll be talking and all of a sudden realize that I'm actually talking too much about work. Like I'm giving something away, or I'm giving something away about something personal, and especially if it's not my personal. And then I'll stop and just take that piece out and start over as if I never said anything. And every now and then that'll glitch me, because I'll be like, wait, did I really say that, or did I say that in the last take? So usually I try and do essentially one take, but every now and then I will decide, nope, this has gone too far down that rabbit hole. Or if I realize I'm complaining too much. That happens a few times when you sit there and you just start venting. And then I'm like, nobody wants to watch that. I can do that to the people in real life. I don't need to like post it out there. So generally one take. If things go wrong during, number 8, if things go wrong during recording, do you stop and restart or just post it? Anybody that's been with me long enough will know that most of the time I just let it go. The cats knock over the camera, you're going to watch the cats knock over the camera. I might put something saying, you know, a little text thing saying, hey, watch out for the crash here. There was one time when Tigger decided he was going to take a sock I was knitting and run through the house with it. And as I'm screaming going after him, I left it in. It was funny. It was real life. It just was what it was. I had one when the iDevices just got time-lapse. I didn't realize that I had accidentally stuck the camera on time-lapse, and I recorded the entire video with time-lapse. And so I just put something and say, you know what happens when you record with time-lapse? This. and I posted it. I didn't re-record it. I put some little explanations on what was going on, and then the next week I made sure I recovered those topics. Years back I had what I called the silent video because I really wanted to post a video, but I lost my voice. And so my guy helped me record a silent one, and we totally like recorded it in you know, sepia, and I got a old-time silent movie audio and posted it that way. So no, I generally, unless I'm saying something that I realize I don't want to share, otherwise, if it's just like things happening, a lot of times I'll just leave them in. All right. 9. From beginning of setup to video completely uploaded to YouTube. About how long does a standard video take? I also have an added thing that I also record to the other system so that I can go onto iTunes. I kind of have a question to my audience. Do any of you still watch it on iTunes? Because it actually costs money every month and it's an extra step, and I don't know if anybody's watching over there anymore. I don't have a way to check the downloads. Anyway, generally setup takes me probably 20 minutes just because I'm kind of wandering around the house going, oh yeah, I wanted to talk about that. Yeah, I wanted to talk about that. And gathering it into here, because if I'm stitching something, it's in my stitching spot. It's not here. If I'm crocheting hats and they're generally something I take to work, they're in my backpack. They're wherever I've been working on them. So it usually takes me about 15-20 minutes to set up. Then recording is whatever you see is pretty much how long it takes to record. And then I build it in Pinnacle Studio. Depending on how much I need to do, that can take another half an hour to 40 minutes. Because I'm trying to watch part of the video, see why did I splice it here, what photo was I going to put in. I sort of skim through it to see if there's anything obvious that I need to like put a title in and put an apology in because I screwed something up. So yeah, probably 30-40 minutes for that. And then about however long the video is, so say it's a 40-minute video, about half of that time will then take for the building on the iPad. So if it's a 40-minute video, it'll take me about 20 minutes for it to finish doing its thing. And during that time, I can't do anything else on the iPad, and I have to keep it away from the cats because if they step on the screen, I gotta start over. And then I copy it over to the computer. That's negligible. Now, and as I was saying, up until very recently, I was compressing it again on the computer, and that takes probably an hour because first it has to open the video and do whatever it needs to do. It always has a little thing in there, copying all your files, getting your audio ready. And it takes a really long time to do that. And then you actually save it in a compressed version, and that takes time. So that's usually another hour. And then the upload time, I upload to YouTube. During the upload to YouTube, which is frequently about 20 minutes lately, that's when I am doing the show notes on the blog, because the blog that I talked about at the beginning now became the place where I put my show notes. I try really hard to put complete show notes. Every now and then I'll realize I forgot something, like this. And I think the last time I realized I actually forgot to put the link for the stand, and then somebody asked me about it, and I was like, oh crap, I forgot to put that link there. So then I went and added it. But that's when I build the show notes. I haven't put the show notes underneath YouTube. I just put a link to the blog because I'm like, I have really complete show notes most of the time, and if I don't, I've apologized. There's some reason why I didn't get to them. I like when other people have complete show notes because I don't always remember what I heard. I might remember, oh, you know, Jessie mentioned something, I want to go look, so I'm going to go look to see if she posted it, and if she didn't, I'm not going to rewatch the whole thing to find it. It's kind of like, oh well. Alright, so basically, if I get home around 5:30, I'm generally finishing up around 10:30, 11 o'clock. I also, as soon as the YouTube is done uploading, then I'll start uploading the one for iTunes. And I generally have to do those separately because otherwise it seems like you have two things trying to get to the same file and it doesn't work. So, but because the YouTube like uploads and then it starts the processing. When it's processing, I can start the other upload. And that one, it gets goofy. It'll say that it's not done, and then later I find out that it actually uploaded it 3 times. It doesn't seem to affect anything, but all right. 10. What kind of prep do you do? Script, organization, run through, practice? I do not run through, I do not practice. If I have a lot of stuff to tell you, I will try to take notes during the week and say, oh yeah, I need to talk about this. I've been struggling with that, which is why you've gotten a couple of them where you get this little blip of stuff, because I'll be like, oh, I forgot to say this. I forgot to say this. And so a couple weeks ago, you just got me like during the week, as I thought of something, recording it because taking the notes wasn't working. I try and take them in my phone so I remember that I can glance down and go, did I hit everything I meant to? But I don't run through. I don't practice. You're just getting me. It just is what it is. I try and talk to the things, I try to gather everything and then talk, as I pull stuff from around me. Sorry, I just lost my place. Oh, number 11. Do you watch your own videos once published? Yes. I watch them at least twice. Because I watch it while I'm doing the editing, but I don't count that. I usually watch the YouTube video version, and then I will frequently also watch the iTunes version, just to make sure that there's no weird, part of it is to make sure there's no weird glitches. So whatever one I watch second, I usually kind of skim, and mainly I'm looking to make sure like nothing weird got cut off at the end, there's no sections that has no sound. So I watch one, whichever one I get to. Usually these days it's YouTube. I'll watch it all the way through because I'm also trying to listen and remember, I need to remember next time that I promised to follow up on that. Or how many times did I say this time? How many did I say anything wrong? Like in the last video, I didn't realize until afterwards. My son's girlfriend is making me these ceiling fan dragonflies, and in one spot I called them butterfly. I know they're dragonfly. She knows they're dragonfly. Most of you probably knew they were dragonflies, but what came out of my mouth was butterfly, which she is working on. So she sent me progress pics the other day. So yes, I do watch my videos. Also, I was starting to have to do a lot more public speaking at work, and I was getting really nervous because sometimes when you're talking, you don't actually listen to yourself. You can't remember what you said. And then you sit there later and you go, did I sound really stupid? And I would get really nervous. So when I started doing videos, I actually started watching them back and realizing that most of the time, unless I switch out dragonflies and butterflies, I sound fine. So I figured that if I sound fine here, I'm probably doing better at work than I realize. And nobody's coming up to me at work saying, wow, what the hell were you talking about? 12, if you could change or enhance or improve your videos in any way, what would you do? The one thing I was struggling with is that, especially on YouTube, the videos were looking fuzzy. Now, I think part of that has to do with when it's winter and I can't get natural light. But also I think it has to do with the double compression. Now that I don't need to compress again for iTunes, I'm just using the larger size file for both YouTube and iTunes. I realized I could have done it twice, but it was actually more confusing to me to have 2 videos, a larger one and a smaller one. So yeah, I've just been doing the one video. So that was a long way to say, if I could get them to stop looking quite so fuzzy, and I really do think it has more to do with in the winter and trying to figure out not having natural light, because sometimes they'd be fine and sometimes not so fine. Otherwise, I think there's nothing I would grossly want to change aside from if I could just, snap my fingers and have it uploaded. I'm hoping this one goes a little faster because I don't have any pictures really to insert in. 13, share any other tidbits you might have about your own recording or funny stories related to your channel. I think I already told you stuff when I was telling you about the silly things that we've done, like the silent video and the cat running away with my stuff. I don't really have any secrets aside from, like I said, when I was filming before my recording space, I didn't show you what's over here. There are piles. This room for quite a while, it was like really nice and clean, and then it sort of got bogged down, especially with cross-stitch stuff, and other things got kind of shoved in here because people were coming. So the vacuum cleaner's in here, the extra toilet paper's in here because otherwise we have to put it in the basement, but nobody wants to go all the way down the basement to go get toilet paper, so it's kind of in here. The first week of August, my guy is gone for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday because he's going to Gen Con. And I have been looking forward to that being the time I'm really going to kind of clean this space because I can reorganize it. I can make a mess and then clean it up type thing. Except for I don't know if I can get Friday off. And I won't know until it gets closer. My manager is trying to have these off-site meetings with herself and her first reports so that we can make sure we're on the same page. I think it's a really important meeting to have. We've had some of them canceled. I don't want to be the reason that it gets canceled. If we're going to have the meeting, I think it's important and I should be there. However, if it turns out we're not having the meeting, I'm taking a vacation day. Anyway, but because I know I'm going to have that space, that time kind of by myself, that's also been meaning that I'm just kind of like, oh, I'll deal with it in August. So it's kind of a catch-22. So I don't show you what's over here. All right, so that would be my secret. Now, Rockin' Raven, I can't think of her real name right now, but that's her FlossTube channel. She when she was doing it, added a additional one that she was curious about. She wanted to know, because she has a southern accent, do people emphasize or tone down their accents, or do you change your voice in any way when you're recording? And when I'm recording like this, no, because I feel very conversational with you. For some reason, when I'm filming something, then I get into my more professional voice. Years ago, I used to be a receptionist, and the guy that sat next to me used to laugh because I would have my receptionist voice, you know. Yeah, hello, welcome to Vicky's Pizzeria. Not really, but it was different. And I find that when I'm recording the little videos where you're not seeing me, or when I'm recording a tutorial, I change the way I speak, versus when I'm doing this, I tend to just be talking the way I talk. I mean, I talk with my hands. It just is who I am. So I don't and even when I'm doing the recording, I don't consciously do it. I just see it. I hear it when I listen back, and I'm like, oh, I switched voices, but I don't think about it. And I just wanted to kind of add hers on there because I thought it was an interesting idea, because she has a southern voice, and she was saying that at the beginning she puts these little funny snippets right before her opening title sequence, and she kind of overly emphasizes her southern voice then, but otherwise it's just her voice. But she was wondering if other people try to change it up, because people are recording from all over the world. So, all right, that is the end of Jessie Marie's behind the scenes tag. I hope you enjoyed this special edition, and I will see you guys all next time, hopefully with some actual progress. Actually, I know I already have progress, so I will definitely have stuff to show you next time. Bye now.